What's up, guys? Joe McCall, Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast. On this episode, we're going to talk about my favorite real estate investing subject, flipping vacant land. And we got a special guest on today, Charleston, South Carolina. I keep on wanting to say Charleston, North Carolina, but man, that's wrong. Don't do that. Charleston, South Carolina, Austin Marvel. We just met a few weeks ago, and we were talking about a mutual friend that we're going to do a part 2 episode with, Jerry Norton. A lot of you guys know Jerry, flipping genius, who claims that he invented virtual wholesaling, which is funny. I always give him a hard time about that. But we're going to be doing a mastermind together, me and Austin and Jerry Norton, at Jerry Norton's farm ranch in Tennessee in 3 months or so. We're going to be talking about that on the episode. But I wanted to get Austin on a podcast talking about how he's doing land. You know, he's been doing this for 7 or 8 years now, and he's done a lot of really cool things. And he's become friends with some mutual friends of mine. And so I just want to talk about what's going on in the business. So, Austin, welcome to my little show here. How are you, man?
Yeah, man, I am blessed. Thanks for having me on. I'm eager to break bread and basically pick up the conversation where we left it last time. It's always a good time talking to you. You've done, before we get started, man, you have done so much like valuable work for the industry. You've helped so many people. Your name is always brought up when people are like, where do I learn about, land as a whole? And people are always pointed to you. They're like, well, this guy just gives and gives and gives. I think that's why we have certain mutual friends, because we tend to give to the industry. But you've done amazing, man. You've helped so many people and changed so many lives. Thank you for just doing that.
Appreciate it. I feel like I have been doing this a long time, but I remember getting started, especially with my podcast, thinking, oh man, did I miss the podcasting boat? Did I get in too late? But I like this business. I love talking to operators, to people that are actually doing deals. I love talking to people that are, heavy in the industry, making a difference, making an impact in people's lives. So Austin, tell us about your story. How did you get into business, working for yourself? What got you interested in land?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I tend to be long-winded, so cut me off if there's anything that sounds interesting or you want to dissect anything. But
that's fine.
Originally from the Pacific Northwest is where I started my career that turned from hobby to career, where I loved being outside, loved backpacking, whitewater rafting, rock climbing, snowboarding, dog sledding, all the things. I was a guide for years in college. So I loved getting on land, and then I started shooting it and photographing it. And then I pretty much, my whole life changed. I followed this girl that I absolutely adore, and now I'm married to her for 10 years. We moved to Charlotte, North Carolina together, and I had never been to the Carolinas. And I was trying to find my way. What am I going to do? I knew I had read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Secret, all the books that most of us start with. So I knew there was something more. I wasn't just going to be corporate executive. And it was my dream to merge the two together, right? Like photography, getting to be outside, and also working for myself and having a little bit more freedom. And so after years of just figuring this out, taking photography, like assignments up to Alaska, Africa, a lot of places in between with my camera and drone, and just kind of figuring out what does running a business look like? I got this client, or they got me, and they were land liquidators. They were basically doing these massive subdivides, and Texas was kind of the honey hole, where they'd go and they'd do these big exempt ranches where they'd buy 1,000 acres. They'd get 10-acre lots, put like a little private road, a big gate, and they would run these massive marketing campaigns and single-day land sales. So I got exposed to land development at this event style marketing, where they were my client for the photography and videography side of things, which was great. I got to spend a lot of sunrises and sunsets on these rural 1,000+ acre ranches. And it was just awesome. The wildlife, the adventures that I had, off-roading vehicles, it was a lot of fun. A lot of those were dirt roads. And so really cool start, right? But then they figured out that I could sell. And so they put me on for these sale events, and I started selling properties during these liquidation events. Throughout that, you really have to know your product to sell it, and you have to be passionate about it. So that was where I kind of got my start. And I was like, man, there's something
Interesting.
here. And I was watching these liquidators, man, it was like they were getting away with murder. These guys, I've seen them move like $60 million of inventory in a weekend land sale. And that was just off a $200,000, $300,000 marketing campaign. So absolutely mind blowing. I was like, there's something here. I need to get into this. This is like the greatest secret of real estate. And that just got me going down that rabbit hole.
What year was that?
That was probably like, remember when the world locked down? Everyone was wearing masks. Nobody was leaving. Man, it was crazy. Like my whole world had shut down. I had a lot of money cancel in like photography jobs. And I was like, man, what am I going to do? And these guys came up and they're like, well, everybody wants to buy land. So I was busier then than ever before. So that was what, 2019, 2020 is when I really started traveling for them and getting into that. I think my first property that I acquired was 2019. So
what kind of land were they selling? Was this like a subdivision with future development plans and a future lake, a future golf course type of thing? Or
yeah, a lot of it was it will come in February, or really what they called it was Nebuary, whatever. It's like they'll sell it pre-construction, but they're selling it as is. So there's this promise of these future amenity centers. There's certain things, the curb and gutter, the roads, and certain things that they kind of have to do. But when you show up, I mean, you're getting the wholesale price by buying it as is, and that's how they're able to liquidate it. So they really pitch FOMO. They push the, there's going to be these great amenities and everything, and people just buy it because there's 150 other people who are all looking at that same property. And
wow.
It was crazy. And, after a while, I felt pretty good. But after a while, like 3 to 4 years, there were some that I was like, I'd go back to this project for next phase to sell it out. And I'm like, they never finished that thing they said they were going to finish. And that's when I started to like kind of see behind the curtain and like, I don't know if I want to have my name tied to this anymore,
Okay. All right. So when did you stop doing that?
Yeah, that was, I should say I slowed it down significantly. I'll still help some of these developers out. Like I've earned a reputation in that niche of development from a media perspective. So I'll still help them out there, but I probably slowed down around 2023, a couple of years ago. It's like, this doesn't fit my life anymore. I was having to leave a lot, and I have 3 little kids and a wife, and I'd bring them when I could, but it became too much. And then that's when I really doubled down on my own land business to see what is that all about. So it was probably 2022, 2023 when the focus went more towards our business and less towards, someone else, making someone else super wealthy, which I did. It was great.
Cool. And then what did you start doing? Like, did you like quit that business full cold turkey and then start flipping land yourself?
It sure felt that way. But no, man, it was kind of a slow phase out. Like I utilized a lot of the skills that I had developed in that business, and it was good to kind of taper off of that. And then I have a business partner who's an integrator. I'm very much a visionary. And so I have this integrator business partner. He's a genius, Nick Turnbull, if any of you guys know him. And he's out of Chicago. And we started just blasting out campaigns and looking into data and just taking action, uncomfortable action. And just, it took us a lot to get that first deal done, man. I wish we would have met you. Probably would have helped us. We passed on so many deals that we just didn't know. We didn't know that there were good deals. So yeah, that was fun.
So were you sending postcards, letters, blind offers? What were you sending?
Yeah, man, we started with blind offers. We started in Moore County, Pinehurst, North Carolina area. And this was before we really knew that you could like do data stacking. We didn't know much. So we got a lot of wet properties, landlocked properties that just would never work. And they were all small. They were like less than an acre. And I had no experience working on really small lots like that. So we finally, after a couple campaigns targeting that area, we upped the ante, went up to like 10-acre lots and put our back against the wall and said, let's do a big campaign. And we went towards the Carolinas because I'm there. And it helped being able to show the property in person, utilize my drone and my photography skills. I mean, that really helped to be able to like, all right, this is how a transaction works,
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't start virtual with infill. It was big 15 to 20 acre lots where we started to see success.
And then how long did you keep on doing that? Are you still doing it now?
Yeah. I would say, Joe, it's exhausting. As you know, the people who follow you, if they're doing campaigns, it's exhausting to manage like 300 relationships. With a lot of times, it takes 12 to 15 touches, and even with AI and outsourcing, it takes a lot to get these relationships across the board. So we're still doing it, but it's at a much slower pace. We're not doing 50 deals a month, just trying to rip out a bunch of them. We've got our people, we've identified our properties in the counties that we want, and we check in on them through automations and AI. And, we'll text them, we'll do RVM, we'll do the whole nine.
What do you mean?
Go ahead.
What do you mean relationships? Like, are you subdividing these things? Are you entitling them? Or
Yeah. So in a lot of it too, I love to subdivide. I think in South Carolina, I shouldn't say this on air, but in South Carolina, there's a 5 acre exemption. So as long as you have the road frontage for it and your new lots are 5 acres and up, all you really need is a survey. There's no soil test or anything. You don't need to sell it with a perk test if they're 5 acres and up. So I love that. But it seems that a lot of these people, they know what they got. Every now and then you get someone who's like, sure, I'll take $100,000 for my 50 acres. Highly unlikely, rarely happens, but it does when you check in. So relationships, being top of mind and being the guy that's actually here in the Carolinas. I'm not based out of Texas or California mailing these people. They get all the mailers. So ours look a little different. When I call them, or when one of my assistants will call them, they say y'all. They really talk with the Southern slang. And, like this seller right here, I don't know if you guys can see my phone. I should pick that up, but I can get back to her. I've built such a relationship with that woman over years, and she has a very complex title issue. I went into the attorney's office with her and like her brother, and we sat there and talked for about an hour and a half, something that most out-of-state virtual wholesalers can't do.
Yeah.
And she signed and he signed a purchase contract that has no expiration date. Basically says, we'll go figure out our title issue, and when we do, you can come in and buy it at this price. And so I'm hoping she's calling me to say, hey, we figured out our whole probate title situation, ready for you to buy it. But that's where a relationship, an in-person, like a genuine relationship, I think that goes a long ways.
So are a majority of your deals in South Carolina then?
Yeah. Carolinas, that's the pocket that we like to fish in. We can do it anywhere. We have done it out of state, but South Carolina it's what we know. And being able to drive or, call these people and say, oh yeah, I used to fish that lake, or I know exactly what you're talking about. It just keeps it very, very simple. And again, I have very little kids, so I've got time on my side. I know there is a time and place for just doing like as many deals as possible, but this is one of several businesses that we've got. So we really integrated the lifestyle into it.
Yeah. You are you building any modular homes on them, or are you bringing in utilities, or are you just parceling them out?
Yeah. We are mainly parceling them out. We exit before it goes virtual. I've got one project that's very interesting. It's not quite modular, not quite RV, kind of in between that casita area. And it's entitlement. And we've worked with this ecologist who's helping us do like a sustainable resort. That's a long-term process, especially, with protected wetlands, and it's tricky, but that's going to be our first bat at that. I haven't done much in the land home package. Usually I'll sell them to guys who will go and they'll finish they'll put the product on top of the lot and sell it. So,
okay.
I think land is the most invaluable asset, man. And by invaluable, I mean incredibly valuable. It's one of those things that like everybody wants land, hypothetically, when the world gets weird. And what I've noticed over the years, whether it's COVID or us going to war, bombing the other countries, or like threat of AI, people want authenticity. They want something real, and something real feels like something that deserves a lot of hard work to own and to manage. And land is just one of those. It's one of those asset classes. It's simple. You're not dealing with roofs, leaky toilets or anything, and you get to enjoy it. It's freaking awesome to live on property. Joe, you're back.
Sorry about that, man. I don't
I
know
didn't
what's
stop.
going
I just
on.
kept going.
You kept on talking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So hopefully my video editors can fix this.
Yeah, we can cut that out.
I just completely lost internet, and I have Starlink as a backup, and hopefully this will work. But you kept on talking, so this thing was probably still recording.
Yeah, it was.
Okay,
It was.
so
We're still at 17 and a half minutes. So, but yeah, right before you cut out, you were asking me about land and home packages, and I don't know when the rant stopped. I just basically said
okay,
we've done our exit before we're going vertical, and then I asked you,
okay.
have you done much with land and home packages?
No, I have never. I've always just wholesaled land without doing anything to it, or sold it with owner financing. Just buy it as is,
Yeah.
sell it as is on owner financing.
Okay.
I've always I like simplicity, and I've always been intimidated by subdividing and adding utilities and all of that stuff. But I love it. I see the power. What I'm really interested in someday, maybe, is buying land. And I know a couple guys that are doing this in South Carolina and love it. Buying land, bringing in utilities, maybe buying 20 acres, subdividing it into 4 lots, and putting in 4 modular homes on it, on a foundation.
Yeah.
So not mobile homes, on a foundation, and getting them approved for FHA financing. And what's interesting too is when you even are in the home, when they are building them, they don't do like the normal paneling that you might see in a modular home. It's all sheetrock taped in mud, and it looks really, really nice. So these guys are just crushing it, and I've always thought that would be cool to do that someday. But I got mad respect for guys like you that have the patience and the willing to. In some ways, in my mind, it's more risky to do kind of what you're doing with subdividing and entitlements, and maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, when you hold on for a long time, you're putting yourself at exposure. What if it doesn't work out? The best way to do it is, if it comes down to a relationship and they give you that long runway and they're not asking for, 10, 20% in the first 30 days, you just tell them, hey, this is where I need to be from a timeline and money standpoint. And you hope that it can work out. It's just like, any kind of offer. You just present it enough times and eventually maybe they'll say, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
But
interesting.
You've got kids, right? How old are your kids? I would be curious to figure out, like, how did you navigate young kids and running a land business? Because it requires a lot.
Yeah, so I quit my job in 2009 when my oldest was 5 years old.
Wow.
Maybe 6. Maybe he was 6 years old. Because I was already making more money in real estate, and I was flipping houses at the time, than I was in my full-time job. And I'd been doing that for about 3 or 4 months. So I felt really consistent about it. And I was just wholesaling. I had a lot of buy and holds that I lost when the market crashed. So it wasn't that hard for me to do, because I already had the proof of concept. I already knew that I knew I could, like, if I could make 10 to 12 grand a month wholesaling houses, doing it part-time, how much better could I do if I was doing it full-time, without, the distractions? Because I was working way too hard. I was working 50 hours a week on my job and maybe 20, 30 hours a week doing real estate at the time. So it was an easy decision. But I also knew at the time, like, I was doing something real unique, and I was doing what I called wholesaling lease options on houses. And I knew a lot of people were wanting to know how to do that. A lot of people were asking me, hey, can you teach us how to do that? I was getting invitations to speak at local real estate clubs and stuff. And so I knew that there was an opportunity for me to make some income teaching people how to do this unique strategy at the time. Because nobody was really, few people were teaching it, but so I got interested on the education side of the business right when I quit my job. And I was friends with some guys who had courses on how to do short sales. another guy I knew had a course on how to do rehabbing. And so, yeah, fast forward to 6 years ago. So my oldest, I have two sons, 4 kids, by the way. Right now, they're 22 and 21 boys. And then my girls are 18 and 15 years old girls. But anyway, when my boys were maybe 13, 14 years old, 13, 15 years old, they wanted to make some extra money, but we were just real busy with school. And we homeschooled our boys all the way through high school. And we traveled a lot. And that was the other thing I wanted to do. I just wanted to be able to travel with my family. And, instead of, well, yeah, there's a lot of reasons for that. And I loved it. We traveled, we went to Europe twice for, 6 to 8 weeks each time. Then we, about 3 months. And then we traveled to, no. Yeah. So 10 to 12 weeks, we went to Europe twice. Then we took a 3-month RV trip around the northwestern corner of the U.S. For 3 months. We just loved to do that kind of thing. We just bring all their school books with us,
Yeah.
But then, okay, so yeah. And I would do deals virtually while traveling around Europe and around all these national parks. But I wanted to start doing real estate with my boys. And I got real tired. I was getting frustrated with the houses. This was 2019, 2020, 2018. It was so competitive even back. It's always competitive. But I was like, how am I going to teach my boys how to learn how to estimate repairs, ARV, negotiate with sellers on the phone that have lived in that house for 30 years? Their voices are still cracking. My boys are, they don't understand. So I started interviewing people who were doing land. And these guys, in fact, I had a coaching client at the time who was doing houses, and he was doing really well, but he was getting frustrated with all the competition. Because at the time, a lot of the hedge funds were coming in and buying up everything. So I told him, I said, you should learn how to do land. And he calls me back a year later, and his name was Phil. He was already at $12,000 a month in passive recurring income from selling his land on owner financing. And he was just using private money to buy the land. He would sell it on owner financing in maybe 2 or 3 different states. And that's really when I started thinking, okay, maybe what if I took all of these systems and processes that I'm doing with houses and put it into land? And so I started teaching my boys how to do land deals. And our approach was send out, because I've always loved postcards, and sending neutral postcards, sending people to a voicemail. So I created this ugly looking postcard that says just text or call this voicemail. And that voicemail is about 30, 45 seconds long, explains what we do. And the voicemail just says, hey, if you want an offer on your property, leave your name and number and the reference ID on that postcard, and we'll send you an offer. And so instead of sending blind offers, or instead of just sending neutral letters that gave them a QR code and a website and an email and a fax and a phone number, I just gave them one phone number to text or call to listen to a 24-hour recorded voicemail. And so when I started doing that, I was shocked at the response rates on these ugly postcards. I was getting, 8 to 10%, 12% response rates on these postcards, which with houses, I was lucky if I got 1% response rate with postcards. And so then what I had my boys do is they would listen to the voicemails a couple, 3 times a week. They would listen to all the voicemails. If somebody hung up, they would just send the seller a text back. A lot of them texted us the reference ID on that postcard. A lot of them left a voicemail. And my boys would then just go to Zillow and Redfin, find out what they're selling for, and we would send them an offer about 35, 45 cents on the dollar, maybe 40 cents. We would just send out a bunch of offers. Then 2 weeks later, they would send a ringless voicemail and a text if we hadn't heard back from them. And 2 weeks after that, we would send the same offer again. And my boys every 2 weeks would follow up with these old leads, either an email, a text, And then 30 days after the previous offer, send the same offer again. And then doing that very, very part-time, they did about $153,000 in net profits on these deals. A lot of them were in North Carolina, Oregon, and California. Is what we were doing at the time.
That's amazing, man. And how old were they at the time? Remind me.
13 and 15 years old.
Wow.
When we got the deals under not a year. Oh, this was doing it part-time over like 2.5 years. Now they didn't keep all that profit.
Still. Yeah.
Right. I paid them 15% of the profits. But I also, the way I did is like, I paid them an hourly rate. Maybe it was like $10 an hour, because I didn't want them to get discouraged doing all this work and then waiting like 3 months before they get paid. So I would pay them a little bit. Right. And then I would claw back out of the profits. So if we made 10 grand in profits, their portion was $1,500, depending on who was working on the deal. And if I had already paid them $500, I would give them $1,000. But for a kid, so they both made, whatever 15% of 153,000 times 0.15, divided by 2. They both made about $11,500 in profits, which for a 15-year-old kid, I mean, that was amazing. They were both able to buy a car, and that's why I'm a big fan of the land business, is because it's so much better than houses. It's so easy. A teenager could do it, and there's no reason why anybody can't. And the strategy I was doing of not sending blind offers, it just made it really easy to send out, 500, 1,000 postcards a month, get 5 to 10% response rates, get half of them that leave a voicemail. Then you send them an offer. You don't have to talk to them until after they get your offers. Then the follow-up is, and once you get it under contract, now it's so much easier, because I partner with people on deals. I find realtors who are already doing deals there. I find investors that are already doing deals. I say, hey, I got this thing here. Do you want to partner with me on it? You go find the buyer and we'll split the profits 50-50. So I'm literally doing nothing, right? It's just a great business.
Setting up the campaign. You're a marketing manager. I mean, you said that's why I love the land business. And yes, me too. But that's why I love homeschool. You're able to teach your boys lessons that they'll have for the rest of their lives. You're just not learning that in school. You're not learning any of those systems that you set up. Like, that's not going to make me a better employee. Why would I learn that in a public or private high school? So being able to homeschool your children, if you have skills like this, you're able to turn and teach them real world lessons that, hey, if you ever get in a bind in 15, 20 years, 10 years, you can always come back to this. I think that's such an underrated, people are like, oh, you homeschool, your kids are probably weird. That's not the case at all. My kids talk to adults and older people, and they've traveled the world, like they've done real deals with real people. That's an incredible outlook. I love homeschooling. I think
they've got great personalities. They're smart kids. Yeah.
I guarantee
I think they've been to, 15 or 16 different countries.
Let's go.
And we were so active. We were always busy we go to a big church, they were busy in sports, club volleyball, gymnastics, basketball. We were just always busy. And, I made them get jobs as soon as they could. After it's interesting too, because as they've been growing up, they don't want to do necessarily what dad's doing. So, they're all going to college, and that's my perspective on college has changed. At first I was anti-college, and now I'm more, it's a good idea. As long as you're not getting a stupid degree. Just get something, meet some people, right? And network and learn some basic business things, I guess. But I'm a big, big fan of homeschooling, and I guess you do as well, right? You homeschool your kids.
Yes. This weekend's lesson, I entered my son into a fly fishing tournament for bass, and you couldn't use any boats or stand-up paddle boards. It was called the Bankmaster Classic. And my son, I didn't realize it was going off of total length. So, I just reported our biggest fish. I think it was like 12 inches, but we caught like 3 of those things, 3 1-foot fish. Wow. So we just reported 12 inches, and the other people that were winning, they were like 49 inches of bass. And I was like, what is going on? How are they there's no way they're catching bass that big. And then it clicked, and I was like, oh my gosh, we won that tournament from a kid's perspective, like the youth division. But
Really?
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
How old are your kids? How many do you have?
I have 3. That was my 7-year-old boy that I took. He's my little adventure buddy, my sidekick right now. It's a lot of fun. Chaotic,
cool.
as you know, boys.
Yeah.
They know so much more than mom and dad. Like, don't try to control me.
So
and they're
3
just
boys
trying to control a miniature you. No, I have a little girl, boy, girl, boy. But,
Okay.
you know, Joe, the happiest people I know have 4 kids. You must be pretty happy. I mean, I think you just kind of like, it is what it is. After 4.
We're going to be talking to Jerry Norton here soon, hopefully, if my internet's working.
Yeah.
And he's got how many? 10 or 11?
10. Oh, my
10
goodness,
kids.
man. 10. Yeah, it's so fun.
So
Wild.
it'll be interesting to how that conversation goes. But I've been out to his place in Puerto Rico, and
Yeah.
he's a good guy. I like Jerry a lot. I like his family. His wife's amazing. But so big.
Totally.
The reason I love this business is because you could do it from anywhere. You don't need an office. You don't need a ton of
Yeah.
overhead. You just
Yep.
need a laptop and a cell phone, right?
It's amazing. I mean, you can schedule out if you're good with data and you're good with how you set up that system, you can really build a business that supports your lifestyle. It doesn't take anything from it. It doesn't take a bunch of your money. You can run a pretty simple campaign. And if you're smart and you're responsive and quick, you can get deals done fairly simply. It's action, man. I think a lot of people get held up by lack of action. It's like there's this mental hurdle of what happens if this? I would never be able to get past that. But once you take the action to get to that little roadblock, then you feel it's just a speed bump. It's just an easy speed bump to go over. I feel like a lot of people psych themselves out at the beginning of this business.
Well, let's talk about what your advice would be to somebody who wants to get started flipping land. Should they start doing large subdivides like you are? Should they send blind offers? If somebody wanted to get started, what would your advice be to them?
Man, I think this is probably not said enough, but getting around other people that are doing it, it just makes those little speed bumps, the little roadblocks that you're thinking, they all become so much smaller because you get around people who have done really big deals. And you're like, wait, that's possible? Oh, that's all you got to do? You just got to get a survey? Just got to file a form? And when you get around that frequency of people who are actually doing deals, it makes it seem a lot more achievable. And that's my number one thing. You know, go to events, meet people, find the people in your town who are doing it, listen to the podcasts, all that. Obviously, you can get real technical with what we were talking about on marketing. There's 100 different ways to skin this cat. You can go door to door if you live in the city. You can look at tax records. There's so many different things you could do to get real technical. But getting around people who are doing the thing, it's like you can't really buy what you'll get there unless you are buying admission to go to a mastermind or go to a free meetup or whatever it is. Listen to a podcast. You get so much by just like being in the room, you know? So I wish I'd have done more of that when I was getting started.
So let's say you live in Des Moines, Iowa. I used to live there. And,
nice.
There's the real estate investing clubs that, they meet to talk about houses. I don't know if people still even go to them anymore. They're not as popular as they used to be. So where does somebody hang out with other land investors if they're just getting started?
Yeah, man. Sometimes you got to get on a plane or you got to, I met a guy a couple of weeks ago. He was at an event that I was at and I flew there. It was an hour flight. I brought my whole family. It was very easy. There was like nobody on the plane, just checked into the hotel. And this guy, he was like, man, I drove 13 hours to be here. I'm sleeping in my truck. And it made me realize like, man, this guy wants it more than me. He's going to win more. Like he should be winning, not me. Like I don't deserve to be here. This guy drove 13 hours. And so if you're looking, I mean, the internet is such a wild place right now. You can just go find pretty much anything. Information is not what you're seeking. You're seeking that frequency of being around other people, belly to belly, shoulder to shoulder. And you don't oftentimes, like, you can get into these things without paying 10, 20 grand. Sometimes there is a price filter for a reason, and it's a good thing. But if you don't have a bunch of capital to start up, go find these people and do whatever it takes to be around them, or just hop on the phone with them, or hop on a podcast or a Zoom like this. You'll get so much information from other people. You'll realize these are just normal people that are running incredible businesses, you know?
So, when I was at an event, a land investing conference, and the speaker was supposed to be teaching how to flip land. And it was just a giant pitch fest for his coaching program. And so that's fine, whatever. I'm not going to knock that. But standing in the back talking to somebody who looks just as bored as I was, and I was talking to him about, how do you do, what are you doing? He's like, we flip land, just me and my wife. And I started talking to him. I said, that's pretty cool. So how do you do it? He said, well, we work about 10, 20 hours a week, and we send letters. We don't send blind offers. We just send letters that send people to a voicemail that we have a reference ID, and then we listen to the voicemails, and then we send them an offer, and then we send them ringless voicemails, and then we just keep on sending them offers every 30 days, and we keep on following up.
Yeah.
Okay. I just told you I didn't invent this thing. You know what I learned it from? I learned it from some guy in the back of the room who was listening to the educator, the guru guy. But he's like, this is all we do. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I do with houses. But with houses, actually, you have to talk to the sellers. You have to negotiate, maybe go visit the house, look at it, estimate repairs, talk to contractors and all that hassle. And he's like, nah. So I thought that's really, really simple. And then I modified it. I tweaked some things a little bit, but that's all it is. And I often say, we're not in the real estate investing business. We're in the marketing business. And if you can learn how to do marketing the right way and the consistency and the following up and all that, you're going to do a lot of deals. But it's fascinating that I learned that was like a big light bulb for me. That was my big pivot point. That's something I can do right there with my boys. And I use a CRM called FreedomSoft. And I thought I could do 99% of all of that in that one software in FreedomSoft. I don't need all this other fancy stuff. And that was epic. I totally believe in that networking idea, which is what we're going to be talking about here soon with Jerry Norton. You've got a mastermind coming up.
Man, there's so many good things of what you just said. I mean, one, there's too many people who are teaching about things that they're not doing or they've never done. And I kind of have a problem with that. I always have. And eventually, a couple of my friends, including Jerry, were like, man, you're like a subject matter expert because of your perspective of what you have a degree in marketing. You've been marketing land, and now you're learning the wholesale acquisition, development, flipping business. You should talk about that. So I actually stayed at Jerry Norton's house in Montana, and I just filmed a course with, I think it was this camera, one of my cameras. I had this guy, him and his girlfriend were standing there, and I was like, hey, just ask me questions as if, you're learning this from scratch. And I filmed for 2 hours on this epic back porch with the mountains and everything. And there was no pitch. I wasn't selling this course. I gave it away for free. And when people ask me that question, hey, how do I start and land? I'm like, here, check out this school community. It's free. I don't spend too much time in it, but if you want to go learn the basics, I ran through it, and at least you'll hear birds chirping and see the scenery of Montana while I ramble on about land. Yeah. And it made me really realize a lot of people got value out of that. And so I felt called to go out and film more content and teach people more. But I really don't like the slime behind, gurus who are out there who I've met some, they straight up lie, dude. You've met them too. They lie and they inflate their numbers. They say it's so easy to do all this. And then they're not authentic or genuine. So in this particular sense, what we did at Jerry's was different than most masterminds. It wasn't a big pitch fest. You can't buy anything. You go there and you're in the room with the people who paid. They all paid the same price as you, including the speakers, and they're not allowed to pitch. They're literally just allowed to collaborate and get to know you personally. So when you mentioned how like, man, I would love to come talk about how to educate authentically and not in a way that's slimy, I was like, yeah, what do we have to do to get that? Because so many people are out there that need to be talking like the guy in the back of the room who told you that little life hack. Like that person should have a 20-minute YouTube video deep diving exactly how they did that. So we built this retreat with Jerry in mind of just let's make it an epic experience for people to come see what it's like to live on land, because a lot of the people who are buying from us, they're trying to do exactly what Jerry and Anne-Marie are doing. So they get that natural environment of feeling like they're there. And the room's pretty vetted. We interview everybody for 20 minutes to make sure they're the right fit, you know. And what we noticed last time, a lot of unexpected breakthroughs came, and I'm sure Jerry will talk about that. It was very spiritual, very emotional stuff that like we didn't have a very strict curriculum. It was just like, let's be together and, you know, talk. It was an open room. So yeah, we're really excited to do it again in the fall. It's going to be incredible. Looking forward to it.
And I forgot to mention that. Normally when I go and speak, I don't speak as much as I used to. I talk about the strategies of flipping land or flipping houses. I tell you, I just teach what I do. And but this is going to be different. I'm going to be teaching from the education side of things. It's easy to bash the guru industry, the education industry. But I thank God for it, because if it wasn't for that guy who bought Charlton Sheets' course, who bought Ron LeGrand's course, who bought Robert Allen's course, right? Then Robert Kiyosaki's, and then learned this stuff and then did it and then taught it and sold it. Like I wouldn't been able to get where I am. Like where do you learn to wholesale houses? Where do you learn how to wholesale land? And you learn it from other people that are doing it and then sell information. Now there is a completely unethical and wrong way to do it. And you have to operate in integrity. And everybody I know that did not operate in integrity is not in business anymore. And I don't feel like I've been in the business that long, but I think I have, because I've seen so many people leave the business in disgrace because they just did it wrong. They weren't honest. They weren't truthful. And so there's a way to sell services, software, data, education, coaching, consulting, that kind of stuff that you can make you a lot of money, but also help and serve people at the same time. Yeah. So I'm going to be talking about that a little bit, I think, and Jerry, that's going to be really interesting to get Jerry Norton's perspective as well. I mean, this guy has, I don't know if the biggest, the most influential YouTube channel in the real estate investing space. And he's going to be talking about this too. I mean, he's made a lot of money doing deals, and he's made a lot of money selling software and data and education. So there's a place for that. And the industry needs people that are willing to do it the right way. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. Yeah, I do. And I've been around people who are like really, they're just givers at heart. They try to just give. And you feel that when you're with them. They're not trying to sell you. Here's this guy's number. They're trying to actively collaborate with you. And you're totally right about what you said. Like, thank God for the people that actually took action and went out and intentionally educated people, and they should get paid, rightfully so. I mean, they have changed so many lives. My life has been absolutely dramatically changed by just learning the value of paying to get into a room, or paying to get into a community, or taking a course, because I learned something that's just, there is no book. There is nothing out there to learn some of the stuff that I've learned. I mean, the house that I'm sitting in is a creative finance deal that is going to bring a lot of wealth to my family. And I didn't even know this was possible before I took a course that taught me exactly how seller finance works with an on-market property. It changed the trajectory
I
of my
bought my
life,
house here as a lease option, the one I'm in now, on 5 acres.
Yeah. Nice.
We bought it as a lease option. We should talk about this at the mastermind. That'll be awesome, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there who have a really hard time getting mortgages because you're not a W-2 employee. You've got you try to underreport, or not not you try to like report your
Yes, you dance
on your
that
P&L.
line. Yes,
Yes, you want the lowest income you can show, report, right? Ethically,
right.
with so you don't have to pay tons in taxes. Well, anyway, this house here, I was not in a place I could get a mortgage. And I just messaged the guy and said, "Hey, can I lease your property for a couple of years and then buy it?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." And then we did that for a couple of years, and then we changed it to owner financing, and then eventually got a traditional 30-year mortgage on it on the fixed rate. But like, yeah, all that stuff. I bought this guy's book. His name is Robert Sheeman, and he had a book called The Secrets of a Millionaire Landlord. And that's where he introduced me to the concept of lease options, rent to own.
I'm looking it up.
And yeah, I mean, I would never, well, never mind. I was going to say something about him, but I won't say that. But like,
Okay.
all right, there we are. Where can we go to get information about this mastermind, Austin?
Okay. Yeah, I would like to invite people. It's basically mastermind.land. There's no, like, you could do www, but it just goes mastermind.land. And what it's going to do, it'll show you a little bit of some details, a little video recap, and then there's an option to apply for the October retreat. The last one did move pretty quickly. We didn't do much marketing. This one, we've been collecting applicants for like the past month or two. And in the next week or so, probably in the next 10 days, we're going to open it up and start actually taking registrations. And we're only going to allow 33 operators in the room. So it's a pretty tight-knit thing. I don't know if we're ever going to do another one at Jerry Norton's farm, hopefully, but you never know. So I'm treating it like it's the last one. We've got some awesome guests, you included. I haven't announced that yet, but I'm going to announce that this week, going into the weekend. So it's going to be awesome, man. Do you like to shoot guns? Because we're definitely going to shoot guns and blow stuff up. I hope you're okay with that. We messed with
I'm not. If I
last time.
That's awesome because if I might drive from St. Louis, which will mean
good.
I'll bring some firepower with me.
Yes. Anything from like modern warfare, FRTs, suppressors, it's all welcomed, all the way to like Civil War era guns. I mean, there's
that'd be
really cool stuff that we had.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So mastermind.land. It'll be at Jerry Norton's ranch. October 23rd through 25th. You're only letting 33 people there. And I'd imagine a lot of the people that went last year are going to be coming again.
A lot of them want to. Yeah. We set some pretty intentional, this is crazy. We had a round table and like everybody cried. We did prayer requests and everything. And we wrote stuff down that said basically like, in order for me to be invited back to the fall retreat, what would I have to do in the next 90 to 120 days to where the whole room holds me accountable? So it's very like, we're going to have some check-in calls with that whole team, the people that were there, to see like, well,
that's awesome.
Did you do what you said you were going to do? So we try to change lives here, not just, be another thing. So yeah, it's
awesome.
It's going to be special.
It looks like Ron Apke will be there from the Land Portal, which will be really cool. Yes. And of course, Austin Marvel.
Hey,
Austin Marvel, Jerry Norton, and
Anne-Marie.
This guy here.
We'll get Anne-Marie to teach too. And Joe Mccall.
Yeah, Anne-Marie's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm looking forward to doing that. And we're going to cut this podcast off here. Hopefully the recording works. And then we're going to come back for a part 2 podcast with our one and only Jerry Norton here in just a minute. But Austin, good talking to you, man. We'll talk in a minute or two. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right.